Hi, folks. I'd like to walk through a brief demo of our contractor module today. A couple things to keep in mind when I'm walking through this. One, the contractor module is fairly vast, so there are a number of different ways that you can configure and set things up. And two, some of these items may be a little bit different based on whether or not you're having your contractors log in or not. But let's go ahead and jump into things. So the first thing I would say, of course, you'll have your LegalServer onboarder to assist you with setting up some of the background configurations. But one of the things that you'd want to do is, let's click here into users, contract attorneys. Here we see a list view of our contract attorneys, phone numbers, bar numbers, counties they practice in, languages, subjects, etc. So for folks that will be contract attorneys with your office, you'd want to go here to the actions menu. You'll probably have, again, a configurable process, something like add, edit contract attorney information, and you can get your contractors situated. So you'll want to give them an assignment type. So we had contract attorney here. And then you can give them certain subjects. So maybe they're on a certain panel where they can take certain types of cases. You can indicate that here. You can also add the counties that they're practicing in, any languages they speak, and whether or not the contractor has a different fee structure than the default rate, which you could then indicate here. So that's getting your contractors set up so that when you're using our recommend contract attorneys list view, you'll have useful information about them. And then just taking a peek here at this user profile, we have certain information relevant to the contractor that we can build out for you. So again, here are these fields we just set. We also have their alternative fee structures, any work orders, which I'll get into in a minute, and any billing transactions for this particular contractor directly on their profile. All right, so let's jump to our home screen here. So the first step in the process would typically be that you're going to begin an intake and create a case. I won't walk you through that whole process today. Again, those are highly customizable depending on what your organization needs to collect on intake. But I do want to tell you that there are some options to be able to do some of the things I'm about to do. So assigning a contractor or creating a work order, you do have some options to build some of those processes into your intake as well, if you like that. But some folks may be coming back after they've created a case to do these things. So that's the process I'll walk you through today. So I'm going to jump into a case here by clicking on the cause number. Once I'm in the case, I'm going to go to the actions menu. We have this process here to assign contractor and create work order. All right, so this is our recommended contractor users list view. A lot of configuration options here. You can decide what fields or columns you want to show in this list view. You can set certain default filters on the list view. But generally, this is what you're going to use to determine which contractor you may assign to a case. So you see here, we have some users with more information built out here. Let's just go ahead and view all for the sake of it. So you would ideally have all of your contractor users with all of the information required that you'd need to make this decision. You can sort. So if you want to sort alphabetically, depending on your use case. We also have some default sorts you can set up on the back end that will, for instance, sort based on start date of last assignment and things like that. And you can even combine that with our legal problem code field to try to get a sort that will be most useful for your particular appointment process. All right, so let's go ahead and assign Barbara Halleck today. So this process is set up to first create a work order. You have a little instruction here. So let's select Barbara Halleck to create a work order. So what a work order is basically you giving this contractor permission to bill you for certain services. So here are our products and services. These are all optional fields, so you don't have to fill these out, but in case you want to give the work order a start date and end date, you also have a setting to make sure that contractors can't bill past an end date if that's something useful for you. Budget, description, funding code, etc. But the main thing we're doing here when we create a work order is deciding what a contractor can bill you for. So here are some products and services. The reason that these are defaulting here is that we're actually using a work order template so that you don't have to go in and select each individual product and service here by starting to type that in. So we can build out work order templates on your site. You might say, oh, okay, here's what folks can bill on for a first-degree felony. Here's what they can bill on for a state jail felony misdemeanor, or here's what they can bill on for revocations. So these are totally customizable. Don't worry if you don't see your particular billing structure, because you're going to build these out for your particular practice. So we can have flat fee-based billing. We can also have time-based billing. Let's just take a peek at all fee options here that we have on this particular site. So here we have some hourly based billing here. So you'll add the individual products and services, or you'll pick a template if those have been configured in your system to allow for contractor billing on these particular products and services. And then here, actually, these are already pre-populated for you to go ahead and assign Barbara as a contract attorney on this case and as the lead attorney on this case, what we call the primary assignment. So let's go ahead and hit continue. All right, so now Barbara is the contractor assigned to this case. And the other thing we can do, sorry, I totally skipped it. When you create an assignment, you can also send out a note to the attorney being assigned as an email and or as an internal LegalServer message that's going to let them know they have a new assignment. So they don't have to, always log into LegalServer and see if they have one. They'll get an email indicating that they have a new assignment in LegalServer with a link to the case, etc. All right, something to keep in mind, because I'm going to switch to the contractor view in a couple seconds so that you can see things from their point of view, is that we have different permissions and views in LegalServer. So you as a site administrator may be able to see any number of things here, but you'll see in a minute that what our contractors are able to see is limited. So that's under our users tab in our permission settings. You can go in and have different user roles with different things that they can see and do in LegalServer. So what I'm going to do now is pop over to what the view would be for Barbara Halleck. All right, so now just imagine we just signed in as Barbara Halleck. You see only 2 tabs here now, so things are looking a little different from when you were logged in as an administrator. They're only going to have access to their particular cases. And the 2 tabs here we have are the home screen and the contractor module. So the home screen, highly customizable. We have just some default instructions here, maybe their internal messages in LegalServer, their case assignments, their upcoming events, their time. If you wanted, you could throw on a task list or anything of that nature, or you could just keep it basic and only put their case assignments here on this home screen. And some groups may decide to just give their contractors this contractor tab, either in addition to the home screen or by itself. So if a contractor logs in, they're going to see the contractor tab, they're going to see their work orders. So remember, we just created a work order for Barbara. So she should see the work order here. She can click into the work order and see any of this initial information. If it was filled out, she can see all the products and services she is able to bill for. And she can also see any previous billing transaction she's already submitted on this particular work order or case. All right, let's jump into the newest work order that we just created here. All right, so this is a brand new work order that was created for Barbara. So you see we don't have any billing transactions. So what our contractor is going to be able to do here is to add billing transactions to this work order. So they can either do so here from the actions menu. They can add a product or service transaction. These are more of those flat fee based. They can add a time slip if it's a time-based billing, and they can add an expense reimbursement that's just general billing, maybe copies or travel, something like that. And we also have little tabs down here, these little plus buttons to do the same thing, add product or service, add time slip, or add reimbursement. So let's jump into add product or service transactions. You can take a peek. So this is only going to show you those flat fee based or type transactions here. So folks can put in a transaction date, flat fee. Let's say it was, a third-degree felony that was resolved. They can put in a description, or you can train your contractors for what information you want them to provide here when they're billing, and then they can add that transaction. So now we're going to see that billing transaction in our list view. Then let's go ahead and see what it looks like when you're adding time-based. So again, only your time-based products and services will show up here. Let's say it was an hourly misdemeanor. Again, provide a description of the work or whatever you all need them to provide for your billing. Date of service, start and end times. Actually, let's give it a little more time than that. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and add a time slip. So that's going to add a time slip to the case and also add this billing transaction based on time-based billing, which you'll see down here. It's going to calculate for you the total amount based on that 75 per hour and 3 hours that were worked. Then we have expense reimbursement, $20. You can set up your different types of expense reimbursement. So this is totally customizable. And if you need to upload a receipt, or if you'd like to ask your contractors to upload a receipt, they have the opportunity to do that here. So now we'll add expense reimbursement. So now we have 3 different billing transactions here. So I'm a contractor and I want to submit an invoice now because I have these billing transactions. Let me take one step back and just show you one other place that contractors can work in LegalServer if you'd like them to. Again, some groups will just give them access to the contractor tab and maybe the home screen, but some will give them access to their very own case profile. So if they were to click on a case, they're going to see a case profile that you'll have customized just for them to just show them the type of information they need to see on the case. You can put this contractor billing transactions list view here, anything else you'd like to display on the case for them. And you can also give them certain actions that they can take on a case. Maybe add case notes, add time. Of course, you'll want to put your closing form in the actions menu, what information you want them to submit to you all when they close a case. And you can also add a way for them to add those same flat fee or hourly billing or reimbursement requests right here for the case. So it's really a matter of preference, whether you want to kind of simplify and just give them one way to do things, or you want to allow them to take certain actions from a case as well. They will still need to come back to the contractor module to submit their final invoice, but at least they could submit transactions from a case. A point of caution, I would say that you want to give a lot of thought to what you're going to allow your contractors to enter into the system and how you set the system up. So for instance, if they enter confidential information, your site administrators would technically have access to be able to view that information in certain ways. So you just want to be careful about the way you set it up, assuming that you are going to have them enter confidential information. Some folks may just have them enter their billing transactions and other information in LegalServer. All right, so now we've taken certain actions on a case, like I said, similar to the ones I just showed you. We can pop back into our contractor module, pop back into our work order here, and let's say we want to create an invoice. All right, so this particular contractor, it looks like has some transactions ready on 2 different work orders. It's up to your organization how they want to handle this, if they want folks to be able to bill on multiple work orders at once. If not, then you'll need to train your contractors, okay, only submit your billing as to one work order at a time. So here we're going to use the work order that we just worked on, where we had a product and service, a time slip, and a reimbursement expense here. You'll also see expense type and any description that folks provided in the notes. So that's why it's important for you all to train them on what you want them to provide for their billing. They can also add a note here. And then they can go ahead and create their invoice. All right, so now that the invoice has been created, if we go here to our list of invoices, we're going to see certain invoices that have been approved, submitted, or maybe are in draft form. So this is today's invoice right here in draft form. Let's say I have multiple invoices in draft and I need to submit all of them. I'll go ahead and submit both of those selected invoices now. All right, now those invoices have been submitted. So now I'm going to flip back from our contractor view back to your site administrator view. Okay, so we're back logged in as a site administrator. And so now the next question is, what action do you want to take? So you're going to go into your contractor module and you will see submitted invoices here. So here's that invoice number 204, submitted by Barbara on 5/29. So we can click into the invoice, take a peek at it. Here's the status of these particular transactions. You have the option to dispute or approve individual transactions. You can also return or dispute an entire invoice and provide a note here for the contractor related to that. But if everything looks good and you're happy to approve this, you can go ahead and verify and then go ahead and approve the invoice for payment. All right, a note about some of the setting options you have available. So let's go into our admin, contractor settings. So some of the newer features that we've added here are the ability to email an improved invoice PDF when the invoice is approved for payment. You can also have one go out to the contractor, you can have one come to you, and you could also have one go to a third party, like maybe whoever is going to be paying these invoices. And you can also turn on the ability to send invoice notifications. So that means anytime your contractor submits an invoice to you, anytime you take action on an invoice or add a note to an invoice or they add a note to an invoice, all of those notifications are going to go back and forth between one another via email. And you could also send them as internal message if you'd like. So a number of contractor settings and options there. One last thing I wanted to show you, just not necessarily specific to the contractor module, but something that may be helpful for you. So let's say total assignments last quarter. This is one of our LegalServer reports. I took off the filter for last quarter so you could see more data here, but here we go, assignments by type. We have some experts in here. We have some contract attorneys. We have some mental health caseworkers, mitigation specialists, etc. So you could see total assignments made in the last quarter, in the last month, etc. if this data is useful for you in making future assignment decisions. All right, I think that's all I have for you today. Just keep in mind how configurable LegalServer and the contractor module are. So lots of different options to tweak these processes to your particular workflow and needs. All right, thanks all.